Good afternoon. Where has the summer gone? June is finished. We're into July, and it won't be long. We'll be having our valued students back with us. And I want to start by just saying thank you to the team of folks that I get to work with every day. This is the work we've been doing in June, trying to get our return to school plan modified and certainly ready for reaction from our various publics. And we know that there probably will be some reaction to this. So thanks for joining us. This is a highly anticipated announcement. Lincoln Public Schools continues to work with the health department as well as other entities as we begin to think about school starting in a little bit more than a month. We gathered information this summer through various sources, including the local health department, the CDC, the Department of Education, and the U.S. Department of Education to draft our proposed 2021-22 Safe Return to School Plan. I want to be really clear, this is a proposed plan. It is in no way finalized. We are asking for our community, which represents our parents and interested patrons, to review the proposed plan on our website and provide feedback through July 9th. We will then take that feedback along with the latest information from our partners to finalize our safe return to school plan that will be released on July 15th. Of course, as we did last year, we will continue to review and revise the plan as community conditions change or as new information becomes available, and as we all know, that is quite likely to be the case as we move forward. But we want to continue to ask for community feedback on our plan throughout this school year. So there are some parts of this plan that will continue from this summer. We'll continue with the protocols of asking everyone to self-screen for symptoms prior to entering our buildings. We will encourage frequent hand washing, and we will have hand sanitizer available in classrooms and all of our common areas. And we're going to do our best to maintain 3 to 6 feet of distance between people, students and staff, whenever possible. Also, this is probably a good time for me to just, again, thank our staff, to thank our parents. We felt like collectively, we did a great job this last year. We were able to open up our schools on time. We had great protocols in place, and we did a very good job mitigating the risk of spread within our schools. But the risk of COVID isn't gone yet, so it's very, very important that these protocols that we have in place and keep in place are going to continue to keep our students and our staff safe. That's our goal. So, also continuing from this summer is our face covering protocols for staff. Face coverings will be optional for staff who are fully vaccinated. Face coverings will be required for staff who are not fully vaccinated. Those who are fully vaccinated may choose to wear a face covering. And we understand with the different variants that staff may choose to wear their face coverings even though they are vaccinated. We understand that, we respect that. There is no stigma associated with the wearing of a face covering. Vaccination status will be based on a self-identified system. Staff will make the determination to wear a face covering based on their personal vaccination status. It's important to note that with all of these protocols and these requirements could change if there is an identified high risk of spread within the community, school building, program, or classroom. And as we've done in the past, we'll isolate wherever there is a potential outbreak or a risk of spread, we'll isolate it to the closest possible point, meaning a classroom and or a school, less likely an entire district. So that part of our plan and our process and the manner in which we've conducted business isn't going to change. Again, we want to return to as close to normal as we can. For students in the school buildings, face coverings will be optional for students who are fully vaccinated. Face coverings will be strongly recommended for students who are not fully vaccinated. I appreciate all of our students that have gotten the vaccination and our parents that have supported that. Vaccination status will be based on a self-identified system. Students will make the determination to wear a face covering based on their vaccination status. There is one time, though, when face coverings will be required for all students. We are required to follow the CDC requirement for public transportation when it comes to school buses. Everyone on a bus will be required to wear face coverings at all times, even if they are vaccinated. This includes students and staff traveling for activities and athletics. Again, this is a federal requirement for all public transportation, including school buses. Families who need to apply for an exemption to face coverings will complete the same process as last year by working with student services. Now we have some good news this year. Volunteers and visitors are welcome back into our school buildings during the school day. We truly missed having them in our buildings last year. All guests must perform the self-screening for symptoms prior to entering the building. During the school day, face coverings will be optional for those who are fully vaccinated. Face coverings will be required for those who are not fully vaccinated. Vaccination status will be based on a self-identified system. Visitors and volunteers will make the determination to wear a face covering based on their vaccination status. COVID-19 vaccines will not be required. That's been a question we've received many, many times through the month of June. But to help prevent the spread of COVID-19, we strongly encourage, and I personally encourage, anyone over the age of 12 to get the vaccine. In order to be considered fully vaccinated before the start of the school year on August 16th, the first dose of the Moderna or Pfizer vaccine will need to be scheduled on or before July 11th. Days from now. We are asked frequently about whether we can ask students for their vaccination status. We want to remind everyone that under Title 173 of the Nebraska Administrative Code, we are required to keep copies of all student immunization records. So yes, we can ask for vaccination status of students. Families can email a copy of their student's vaccine card to the school nurse at their convenience. We have some updates on the exclusion from schools if someone is identified as a close contact with a positive case. Vaccinated individuals without symptoms need to self-monitor for symptoms, but no longer need to quarantine or miss school as long as they remain symptom-free. Unvaccinated individuals without symptoms will still need to stay home and miss school for 10 days without testing, or 7 days they receive a negative test on the 5th day. I want to repeat that. Unvaccinated individuals without symptoms will still need to stay home and miss school for 10 days without testing, or 7 days if they receive a negative test after the 5th day. Of course, anyone with symptoms will need to stay home in quarantine for the full 14 days. As we learned last year, wearing a face covering will reduce required quarantines and result in students being able to attend school regularly, which is what we want, which is what we're seeking with this safe recovery to school plan. This is an example behind me of what we saw last school year. When everyone is wearing face coverings, nobody has to quarantine if there is a positive case in the classroom. They just need to self-monitor for symptoms. We know that process works. It worked well for us last year. If the positive case is not wearing a face covering, and a close contact is not wearing a face covering, then the close contact will have to quarantine, missing up to 10 days of school or more. Everyone else wearing a face covering will just need to self-monitor. And again, because we want our students to stay in school, we're hoping that they either become vaccinated if they're eligible, or they wear face covering when they're in school. Remote learning is also different this year, as many know. As it was announced last year, we will no longer be doing hybrid learning with teachers teaching both in-person and online students. Next year, we will have a dedicated remote learning program for students in grades kindergarten through 8th grade. The remote learning program will not be an option for quarantined students or students with an extended absence. Extended absences from in-person school will be handled as they were prior to the pandemic. It is the responsibility of the student to contact their teachers and make up work which has been missed because of any absence. School staff will support the students' initiative to make up the work that is missed. We will continue to communicate with individuals who are identified as high-risk close contacts with a positive case. We will no longer be sending building-wide messages for each and every positive case as we did last year. The community can continue to monitor the positive case numbers across Lincoln Public Schools with our dashboard online. Something the students will be happy with, changes in our cafeteria protocols. No more plexiglass dividers. However, elementary students will still be assigned to tables, and we will still provide hand sanitizer for all students in addition to encouraging hand washing prior to lunch. Well, that's a highlight of our proposed changes in our proposed Safe Return to School Plan for 2021-2022. Again, I want to underscore as we began that this is a proposed plan and is in no way finalized. We're asking for our community to review this plan on our website and provide feedback through July 9th on our website. The website includes a form for stakeholders to submit their comments and their suggestions. We will then take that feedback along with the latest information from our partners to finalize our Safe Return to School plan that will be released on July 15th. Of course, as we did last school year, we will continue to revise and review this plan as community conditions change or as new information becomes available. We will continue to ask for community feedback on the plan throughout the school year. We do want to thank the Lincoln-Lancaster Health Department for their continued collaboration and tremendous support on developing our protocols. As I've mentioned many times publicly, we meet with them on almost a weekly basis, and the conversations are very forthright and current, and we've received excellent guidance from them as we seek to return to school in a safe way. We were excited in May when the risk valve dropped down to green in our community, and I want to credit our students and our parents and our staff for doing probably our part, maybe more than our part, in making that a reality. And we were very, very proud of virtually everybody that was involved with Lincoln Public Schools and the greater Lincoln community. And we did it together. And you know, we always take gratification in the fact that we opened up our schools last year on time. Our students had access to in-person education. Remote learning percentages dropped dramatically through the school year as our parents grew more and more comfortable with our protocols. And that wasn't the case across the United States. So we felt like in Lincoln, the leadership that we received from the mayor and the health department and Dr. Bob Browner, who sits on our Board of Education as a public health specialist, we were able to put together a great plan that kept the majority of our students in school. And we know that quarantine and exclusion is something that nobody wants, but we also have to have a commitment to all of our students in our school system with assurances that we're going to do everything we can to make our schools safe. And we felt like last year we did very well. We anticipated this will be another year that will have some challenges. But again, with a good sound plan in place, we feel like we can be able to meet those challenges. So I appreciate the fact that as a community we all work together, and the ultimate goal is to get back to some semblance of normalcy, and that we're going to do whatever it takes to get our children back in school and keep them in school. We know that face-to-face, in-person education is the best way for students to achieve to their abilities. And that's been our goal. And again, I want to thank our team for the time, the large amount of time they put into preparing this document. We do stand ready to obtain feedback. Unlike last year at this time, where I walked in a press conference with 600 pages, I think we're maybe 12 to 15 pages this year, which that ought to represent some progress. But we learned an awful lot working in this community with regard to COVID-19 and how do you mitigate the risk of that spread. So with that, we'll stop. I've got the members of my team that are here. We're prepared to answer any questions that you might have. Yes, ma'am.
Do we have any idea what the percentage of vaccinated teachers are, and would there be any indication that that number would change since vaccines have been open to that age group for the longest?
Good question. Wendy, do we? I don't believe we have that data.
No, we do not.
Yeah, we're not able to obtain that data, and I'd like to say that we had awful lot of teachers wondering when the vaccine was going to get here. My hope is that that correlated to a high percentage getting the vaccine.
For a parent that wants to send their feedback after reading this plan, how do you guys want that feedback?
Get on the website. There's a dedicated spot on the website for them to be able to produce the feedback. We'd love to hear from everybody.
Is there any different protocol for maybe students with special needs or higher risk? Is there more masking requirements or separate requirements that might be considered for those students?
That'll be detailed in the plan. Again, we're going to have, as we did last year, we're going to have parents that are going to seek mask exemptions and have to go through a process to be able to do that. We're well aware that there might be higher risk categories, and every family has to make a determination with regard to current conditions and maybe underlying health conditions that may exist within the family. So we would encourage those parents to reach out and contact our Student Affairs Office if they have any questions about that.
Is there any indication that more students will be eligible for the vaccine? Did that make your decision?
Well, right now it's 12 and up, and we were holding out hope that maybe there'd be some kind of an announcement this summer for younger students. Doesn't look as if that's going to be likely. So kindergarten through 5th grade students will be coming to school not vaccinated. Now we also understand, and again this is not corroborated by any hard data, that there's that the student population, the under 12 population, is not at as high a risk of acquiring or transmitting the virus as the older individuals are. So again, teachers are going to have to make determinations with regard to face coverings, and we're going to ask our parents to make personal decisions with regard to sending your child back, and understand that there is no stigma, no negative stigma associated with wearing a face covering when we open up our schools here in about a month and a half.
Now, as you said that you guys had a ton of people reaching out about what was going to happen with the vaccines. How did you guys kind of come up with what you have in place right now?
Well, as I said at the beginning, we work with the health department on a regular basis. All of us do pay attention to what's happening nationally. Dr. Bob Browner is an incredibly tremendous resource for us, sitting on our board in terms of the work that he does professionally. And so we feel like we've got the best information today to make the best decision that we can. Again, understanding that conditions are going to change, and we have to be very fluid. But we also know if we don't release our plan early enough for people to begin to think about it, then we're being tardy, so to speak, with regard to what we think. And we've received, as you know, whether it's through school board meetings or our Let's Talk, which sits on our website, we've just received an awful lot of questions about what's next year going to look like. And I think parents are going to use what we say today in terms of their decision making with their children, and they should. But I want parents to understand too that we could be looking at different data a week from now, or 2 weeks from now, or 1 week before school starts, and we're going to have to be able to adapt.
What will that vaccination submission process? You said it's sort of a self-reporting. So if a teacher submits, is it their card, or do they be filling out a form? And if somebody doesn't submit anything under vaccine, are they automatically maybe registered as unvaccinated as a teacher?
Yeah, good question. So let me talk about teachers first of all. We're not going to be asking for verification from teachers, staff members, that they're vaccinated. We're going to put them under the LPS honor system that they will do the right thing with regard to wearing face coverings or not. With regard to students, we, as I mentioned, by state law, we're able to obtain vaccination records. So we'll have a better handle on that. But again, we're looking at kids primarily ages 12 and on up, so into middle school and up to high school.
Given concerns about the Delta variant, would you revisit these plans in the future?
Yeah, the Delta variant worries us because what we're hearing is that what's happening right now in Australia and in Europe is likely to be in America, and it will make its way to Lincoln. But again, we can't, as I'm reminded by somebody I work pretty closely with, we can't make decisions again, that's why in 2 weeks, the Delta variant is running rampant in Lincoln. You know, we're going to have to rethink this. But, you know, we're going to do everything in our power to open up school as normally as possible next fall. And we want all of our parents to have confidence that our schools are going to be safe places for their children to learn. Any other questions? Okay. Very good. Appreciate all your time. Thank you.